Hi, class. Welcome to week two. You at this point, I've been looking over the discussion boards, and overall, pretty good. My only main comment was to, think critically, which generally means challenge orthodoxy, challenge what passes for common sense knowledge, um, challenge, old approaches, challenge, conformist, everyday, boring, mundane, status quo, dry, unspontaneous, uncreative thinking. Um, think radically, think transformatively. Sociology is a revolutionary discipline. It is meant and intended to change the world. Our job is not simply to interpret and understand the world, but to change that world. It is a radical and revolutionary endeavor. Old and past theories aren't good enough. We need to have new ideas, new movements, new theories that challenge the status quo, that challenge orthodoxy, that challenge authority, that challenge power. We're revolutionary. That's what sociology has always been throughout its history. Well, not now, but throughout its history up until the past few decades. And so I hope we can bring that critical, radical, transformative, creative thinking back to sociology. And so I hope to see more of that in your discussion posts. We have the same thing. The two discussion boards are for this week. Same expectations. Look at the syllabus and the Canvas modules for the due dates and everything, and get it in all on time. This week, we're going to read another, I think, excellent classic book, Stanley Cohen's Folk Devils and Moral Panics, The Creation of the Mods and Rockers. It's another seminal work, published in 1972, relevant today. People are still debating and discussing it, and applying it in so many different ways, which you'll be doing in your final class paper, which I already gave you the instructions on in my week one video lecture, but it's also on the instructions for where you submit your final paper, the Canvas module where you submit your final paper. It's already there. So make sure that you look at those final paper instructions. They're very detailed and very straightforward. So anyway, the Folk Devils and Moral Panics explores the sociological phenomenon of moral panics and the role of media in constructing deviant behavior. Cohen, a British scholar, his study focused on the conflict between two British youth subcultures, the mods and the rockers, during the 1960s. Some of the key points of the book: moral panics and deviance amplification. Cohen introduces the concept of moral panic, but he expands it beyond Becker, describing the situation where society experiences an exaggerated reaction to a perceived social problem. When we think about it, immigrants, Muslims, inner city youths. There's so many examples. Russia, China, Trump, all kinds of moral panics over this, vaccines, coronavirus epidemic, right? Russian collusion in elections, and all these other kind of silly things that go on in our media. So you can see moral panics happening all around us all the time. And in your final paper, you'll be looking at that. And so he also talks about the importance of media, how it plays a crucial role in amplifying deviance, constructing narratives that evoke fear and concern. And you can see that with many folk devils like Donald Trump, or like Russian collusion, and dangers of immigrants coming in, and inner city crime, things of that nature. So it's a media trying to psych you out, make you fear, uh, and live afraid. In that way, oftentimes you give up all your rights, your privacy. And it's no coincidence that the Americans are the most incarcerated people on planet Earth. Americans are the most surveilled people, spied upon people, watched, photographed, fingerprinted. No other country in the world engages in as much social control as the United States, which is quite arguably, one can make a good argument that it is a militarized society, that the United States is a society of social control, of surveillance. um, and a society where most Americans have given up their freedoms and their privacy and succumb to social control and surveillance. So we live in very much a surveillance type of society, not too far different than what a lot of people consider fascism and totalitarianism. Um, but nonetheless, a lot of this has to do with manufacturing consent, and part of this manufacturing consent happens through moral panics, deviance amplification, the creation of folk devils, which refer to groups or individuals who are singled out and demonized by the media and wider society during a moral panic. In the case of the mods and rockers, um, these youth subcultures were portrayed as threats to the social order, leading to their stigmatization. So it's not only mods or rockers, but we can also talk about punks and hip hop youths and heavy metal Satanists and things of that nature, of youth subcultures that became criminalized, that became folk devils, that there's a whole moral panic around it. Of course, central to the book is the media construction of deviance. The book explores how media contributes to the creation and amplification of deviant stereotypes. The author, Cohen, argues that media coverage can transform relatively minor incidents into major social problems, including influencing public perceptions and policymaking. It'd almost be like you know, if a UWL student smokes a marijuana cigarette and then something bad happens, and then all of a sudden there's this big moral panic that marijuana smoking causes you to eat babies and to overthrow the American government or whatever ridiculous thing. And so you have now Mothers Against Marijuana Smoking, I guess MS develops, and they're calling for action, and they want the campus police at UWL to check all students' bags and have dogs sniffing for marijuana, putting criminals who smoke marijuana, as dangerous as grandma's oatmeal cookies, in prison and in jail. Maybe for life, because of those dangerous baby eating marijuana smokers that we need to get rid of, because it's causing the complete destruction of American society and its values. And of course, that it's a gateway drug, something, of course, that was dismissed decades ago, but a gateway drug that leads to other harmful drugs. And so you can see how these moral panics operate. In fact, that's what he refers to as a deviance spiral, where deviance amplification occurs, describing how societal reactions to particular behaviors, particular from those of quote unquote authorities, can exacerbate deviant behavior. And in the case of people like the mods and rockers, again, could be applied to hip hop youth and heavy metal heads, punks, and others, where they are now subject to increased police presence, harsher legal measures contributed to the escalation of conflicts, etc. And so then we have secondary deviance, expanding upon Howard Becker from last week, where Cohen discusses how individuals or groups who are labeled as deviant can internalize this label, leading to a self-fulfilling prophecy. And this contributes to the further marginalization of those people that are labeled as folk devils. And so the book had a big impact on the study of the sociology of media, deviance, social reactions, crime, criminology, cultural criminology, highly influential, remains extremely relevant today, heavily debated on. Um, it's a foundational book in sociology and cultural studies and media studies and criminology. And it continues to influence subsequent research on the role of media in shaping public perceptions on social issues, the consequences of moral panics for individuals and groups, and the manufacturing of consent, where the media creates folk devils to blame for larger structural problems. So I think you're really going to enjoy the book. Then we have 2 discussion board posts that are based upon that. Again, if you need anything, feel free to email. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to send me an email, ask any questions that you would like, and I'm happy to discuss anything with you. Otherwise, enjoy week 2. Keep up the solid effort. So far, it's been a great class, You'll have your final or your midterm exam open up today. Not today, but open up in the middle of the week, and it'll be due this Sunday. And so, again, feel free to email for anything necessary. As you well know, that midterm exam covers the first two books that we've discussed in our lectures and that you've read. And so, enjoy the week, and I look forward to seeing you all on the discussion board. Thank you very much.